Breaking today, popularity ratings for Meghan Markle in her home country of America are absolutely damning.
It does seem to be that it is coming towards the end of their grifts, and they have not got many options left.
So this really is a crisis now.
Something appears to be changing around Meghan Markle's image in America. And this time, the discussion isn't just driven by opinions, headlines, or social media chatter. It's tied to numbers and public data. Fresh polling and online traffic reports from the United States point to a picture that looks different from the story many people have been hearing about the Duchess of Sussex. While her post-royal brand has often been described as influential, stylish, and full of business potential, recent figures suggest public interest and approval may be slipping.
But actually, this is really fascinating because it's like massive dip in US popularity, massive dip in US website traffic, all at the same time.
At the same time, Meghan's lifestyle venture, as ever, is also seeing lower engagement. Website traffic reports show fewer visitors from the American market month after month, even though the United States remains its main audience. That creates an unusual situation where two separate measurements, public opinion and business attention, seem to be moving in the same direction.
A drop like that is huge and quick. Like usually you'll tend to see like maybe up a couple of points, down a couple of points, depending on people say have had a big movie out or if they've been involved in a big story. But a 13-point decline over 2 quarters. Trust me, this is what like a PR expert would say required a reputational crisis management intervention. The problem is, I think that's been tried so often by Meghan.
As if that wasn't enough to spark debate, another discussion has started gaining momentum at the same time. Some observers are questioning how large media organizations present Meghan Markle and whether certain outlets simply report on her activities or give them extra visibility. One publication frequently mentioned in those conversations is People magazine. The claims surrounding that coverage have started drawing more attention. For years, People magazine has regularly featured Meghan Markle in positive stories. In 2026, though, some critics argue the amount and style of that coverage have become even more noticeable. Many articles focus less on major accomplishments or industry-changing projects and more on lifestyle updates, fashion choices, personal moments, and carefully presented looks into everyday routines. Stories often spotlight wardrobe selections, home design, cooking spaces, or lifestyle branding.
And I can't help but feel it's like when people buy a bumper pack of advertising. You want the billboard package that includes the magazine and a certain number of articles. You pay X amount of money, the VIP, the gold package, the bronze package.
Even small appearances or brief product mentions can become detailed feature pieces. According to people who have monitored publishing patterns, People magazine has released more than 100 Meghan-related articles during 2026. They argue the repetition is less about the topics themselves and more about the overall message. Across many of those stories, the themes stay familiar. Meghan Markle as a devoted mother.
The most recent headline says Meghan Markle's coastal kitchen has us eyeing rustic cake stands, floral plates, and more charming finds from $9. Now, can we just be honest about it? Because everyone knows their kitchen is gross.
Meghan Markle as a supportive wife. Meghan Markle as a successful entrepreneur. Meghan Markle as a resilient public figure who has faced misunderstanding. The headlines may change, but critics say the overall presentation often feels similar. That has prompted an ongoing online question: when does consistently positive coverage remain celebrity journalism, and when might it begin to shape a broader public image? One frequently discussed example centers on a feature about Meghan's coastal kitchen style, highlighting decor and design details. Some critics argue the presentation creates an idealized lifestyle image rather than simply documenting reality.
But there's a reason why Meghan never uses their own kitchen for her TV show or her photo shoots, because it's dark, it's dingy, it's dated, and apparently it's the laughingstock of the Montecito locals. So for People magazine to say that actually people are wanting these floating wooden shelves, copper cookware, and bamboo spoons was a new low.
Supporters view these stories as standard celebrity lifestyle reporting with no deeper meaning. Critics, however, describe them as part of a carefully repeated narrative that emphasizes favorable themes while offering little contrasting perspective or critical examination. The discussion picked up even more when some commentators suggested that Meghan's wider media approach depends on carefully chosen visibility, regular lifestyle features while taking part in fewer conversations about more difficult or debated subjects. In that setting, People magazine is no longer viewed by some observers as just another publication. Instead, critics argue it has become part of the story itself.
Anyone there that actually does any reporting and not really focus on the terrible things that have gone on with African parks and Harry still promoting them. How can they not talk about the fact that Harry is being sued by Centre Barley, but instead Harry and Meghan's life is great. Harry and Meghan's life is amazing. They know that kitchen that Meghan is posing in is not her kitchen. They know it was a hired house, yet there's still that article saying, oh, look at Meghan, everybody's so jealous of her coastal kitchen. That's not her kitchen. You know it's not her kitchen, but you're still pumping that out there.
As those opinions continue spreading, they now overlap with another topic that is getting plenty of attention. Data that some say points to declining public interest even while media exposure remains high. For years, Meghan Markle's profile in the United States has been seen as culturally visible even when she was not launching major projects. She continued to attract headlines, spark discussion, and stay in public view, leading many to believe her presence remains steady regardless of changing opinions. More recent polling, however, suggests that pattern may be shifting in measurable ways. According to YouGov's ongoing sentiment tracking in the United States, Meghan Markle's approval numbers changed noticeably between late 2025 and early 2026, marking one of the biggest short-term movements in public perception since her departure from royal duties.
This manufactured nonsense, like you said, it is just pure Sussex propaganda, and they are ignoring the truth that everybody can see.
During the third quarter of 2025, Meghan recorded 37% favorable views and 22% unfavorable views, giving her a net approval rating of +15. While not extraordinary, those numbers reflected a clear positive balance, with favorable opinions comfortably ahead of negative ones. At that stage, her reputation fit a familiar pattern: a widely recognized public figure with mixed opinions, but a relatively stable standing.
Meghan Markle's popularity among Americans fell in the first 3 months of 2026, at the same time as visits to her as ever online shop also dipped.
By the first quarter of 2026, that balance looked different. The same tracking showed 29% favorable and 27% unfavorable ratings, reducing the net approval score to +2. On paper, that represents a 13-point decline across 2 quarters. For polling experts, movement like this stands out for 2 reasons. First, the distance between positive and negative views becomes much smaller, suggesting public opinion is nearly split. Second, the pace of the change hints at a concentrated period of shifting attitudes rather than a slow background trend.
Meghan recorded around 246,000 visitors to the site, of which 108,000 were from the US. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Because she's only selling to the US. So it means she's getting well over 100,000 visits that actually are irrelevant to her business proposition. It might be people like me who are looking a bit nosily and saying, oh, ha, 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 isn't that funny, this latest message or whatever, but they're not buying product.
The YouGov system also provides additional context. Because responses are gathered continuously instead of from a single survey moment, the quarterly numbers reflect opinion collected over an extended period. That means the change cannot automatically be linked to one headline or isolated event, but may represent a broader pattern developing over several months. Another notable point is that both measurements moved at the same time. Favorable ratings declined while unfavorable ratings increased, creating a combination that often signals a changing balance in public opinion rather than simple loss of interest. The data itself does not identify a direct cause, but observers have noted that the timing overlaps with a period when Meghan Markle remained highly visible through lifestyle coverage, business updates, and continuing discussions surrounding her post-royal ventures.
But, and this is a huge but, US visits fell to 89,000, indicating that the US traffic declined despite an overall increase in visits. And Meghan, I repeat, is only selling to America, which means that her sort of customer base has actually dipped to 89,000. Remember, the vast majority of those people will not be buying anything.
At the same time, polling figures alone cannot explain commercial performance or audience behavior. That is where another set of numbers enters the conversation. Alongside the changes in approval ratings, digital traffic connected to Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand, as ever, appears to show a similar trend among visitors from the United States. adding another layer to the broader discussion surrounding public attention and engagement. The connection between public perception and audience engagement is exactly why this trend has become such a hot topic. It's not because one set of numbers proves the other.
And of course, what she probably should do is shutter as never. It should just go as ever. Sorry, was never, as Lady C calls it. It should just go. It should just be shuttered. It should just be consigned to the to the trash heap. She should give away, Tash, the millions of cans of jam. What do you call tins of jam? She should give them away to worthy causes. Seriously, she should send them to Africa. She should just, she should take the financial hit.
Africa has been through enough, Dan. They've been through enough.
But because both appear to be moving in the same direction during the same period. From a storytelling perspective, that kind of alignment naturally grabs attention. While polling data suggests changing public sentiment, another set of figures tied to Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand, as ever, has also drawn interest by tracking direct audience engagement. Website analytics indicate a steady decline in visitors from the United States over 5 months, with small ups and downs that still end in a noticeable drop from the brand's key market. In December, As Ever logged roughly 246,000 total visits, including about 108,000 from the United States. Since the US is the brand's primary operating market, those visitors represented its most important audience.
Meghan oversaturated us. She was everywhere. It was every week. It was magazine interviews. It was As Ever. It was Netflix. It was specials. It was appearances and pap strolls. Then, of course, we had, the disaster tourism. It has been relentless. And then for them to also, which I think has definitely damaged them, for them to suddenly flip back round and trying to be taken seriously as royals again has backfired on epic proportions, because they have then lost another chunk of their remaining fan base.
At that point, American users made up a major share of overall engagement and served as the clearest sign of potential customer activity. January brought a slight rise in total traffic to 268,000 visits, suggesting ongoing curiosity around the brand. Even so, US traffic slipped to 89,000, marking the first visible decline among the audience most closely connected to sales. That gap between worldwide visits and American engagement hinted that interest was not increasing evenly across different regions. By February, the trend continued. Total visits dropped to 213,000, while US traffic fell again to around 83,500. Both figures moved downward together, strengthening the overall pattern instead of looking like a temporary fluctuation. March showed a modest rebound in total visibility with 226,000 visits. However, US traffic only climbed to 94,000, remaining well below December's level and not fully recovering earlier engagement.
April was disastrous. It tanked 178,000 overall, but just 61,500 in the US. Now, remember, if you look at the start of the year, she was at 108,000. That's almost a halving of her internet traffic in the US, which is where she is selling to.
That brief improvement did not last. April recorded the sharpest decline in the sequence. Total visits fell to 178,000, while US traffic dropped to 61,500. Compared with December's numbers, that represents a reduction of nearly half in American visitors. Looking across the full 5-month period, the pattern starts above 100,000 US visitors, experiences gradual declines with only minor recoveries, and ends far below where it began. The significance of this trend comes from the market itself. Unlike broad website statistics, As Ever relies mainly on the United States as its central commercial audience. That makes American engagement more than just another metric. It stands as one of the most important indicators of the brand's overall reach and activity. Although international visitors appear in the data, they do not currently represent the brand's main commercial audience under its present structure. That makes activity from the United States the most important figure when evaluating performance.
And again, like we said earlier, even the promoting and rewarding the trolls. Meghan and Harry have really been the masters of their own demise, and seeing these figures in real time, it is incredibly damaging, because it's showing that everything is gone. They've pretty much hanging on tooth and nail to everything now, and I'd be very surprised if As Ever's got another 18 months in it, in all honesty.
Looking at a single month on its own, each change could simply be seen as normal movement for a developing brand. But when the numbers are viewed across the entire period, the pattern becomes much harder to dismiss as random variation. By April, the difference between the highest and lowest points is easy to spot. U.S. visits declined from roughly 108,000 in December to about 61,500 only a few months later. That shift has become part of wider conversations about audience retention and long-term interest in Meghan Markle's business projects, especially since it happened during the same period that public opinion measurements also appeared to change. Most analysts discussing the figures have not claimed one trend caused the other. Instead, they point out that both seem to be unfolding side by side.
I can't see anyone's going to even want to try and buy it off of her, which I think is what she's desperately trying to do. She's trying to make it look like, look, I've sold over 1 million jars of jam. Look at all of the traffic. Look at all of these people. I think she's probably out there trying to scope around for some poor schmuck to try and buy it off of her. You know, like she sees these deals with other people, like Justin Bieber's wife. You know, she sold her makeup collection for millions, if not, you know, closer to 1 billion. But there's nothing as ever. Who the hell would want to buy that shit?
It is that parallel movement that continues attracting attention. Beyond opinion polls and website traffic, another issue has entered the discussion: the long-term sustainability of Meghan Markle's post-royal business efforts. Right now, as ever remains largely centered on the US market without a fully established international expansion. As a result, the brand depends heavily on one audience instead of drawing from multiple regions around the world. Within that setup, any decline in American engagement becomes especially important because it affects the brand's primary source of potential customers. There has also been ongoing speculation about expanding into additional lifestyle areas such as fashion and beauty.
And the issue that she's really got is that, so she has obviously decided, well, I need to go down the beauty path, I need to go down the fashion path, which she first rejected, right?
Yeah.
But Tash, what is going to be really difficult from a branding point of view, and this really matters, especially as you say, if you're trying to prepare a business to be sold, is like, does she launch that under As Ever, which is already a failed brand? Any branding expert would tell you no. But then the problem is she ends up competing with herself because she has one brand that's failing while trying to launch another brand.
Even so, moving into new categories while core engagement numbers are softening could present extra business challenges. From a commercial viewpoint, that creates a possible gap between growth plans and current audience momentum. Some observers have compared the situation with other celebrity-backed businesses that required years of outside investment and careful development before reaching a stronger position. Victoria Beckham's fashion label is often mentioned as one example after spending a long period building stability through restructuring and continued financial support. The biggest distinction highlighted in those comparisons is the level of scale and backing involved. Many established fashion brands rely on major funding, partnerships, and extended periods before becoming profitable. Whether As Ever has access to similar resources remains an open question discussed by industry watchers. Another element adding complexity is the nature of celebrity branding itself. Unlike traditional companies, businesses closely linked to a public figure can see shifts in audience opinion influence consumer interest more directly. Because of that connection, changes in visibility or public sentiment may have a greater impact on buying behavior than they would for a conventional retail brand.
None of the other streaming services after Netflix, you know, made them free, seem to be interested in coming in and swooping them up in a contract. You've not heard anything from like Disney, Paramount, you know, and Amazon. Nope. Amazon, there's no chance. I think now she's really upset Sanchez. But yeah, I am struggling to see how they're going to continue to bring in the sort of money to have the lifestyle that they quite clearly want.
This creates a cycle where public attention affects website traffic. Traffic shapes perceptions of success, and those perceptions can then influence public interest all over again. Inside that cycle, falling engagement numbers become more than simple statistics. They gradually become part of the overall story surrounding the brand. At the same time, another strategic question is being raised about future growth. If expansion into areas like beauty or fashion moves ahead, should those products stay under the As Ever name or launch as an entirely separate brand? That decision goes beyond marketing. It could determine whether future products benefit from existing recognition or become tied to current public perceptions.
And Harry and Meghan do not have that sort of money. They do not have that sort of likability. They have got no talent between them. They've got no job. What, Harry being the chimpo at Better Up? He's hardly going to be raking in the millions. He can't even fill, what was it, like 150 bottoms on seats over in Australia. Meghan couldn't even get, that venue.
Launching under the same name offers familiarity, but also carries the risks connected to that identity. Starting fresh with a new brand avoids some of those links, but requires building awareness from the beginning in an already crowded marketplace. For now, these remain business questions rather than confirmed plans. Even so, they are often discussed alongside performance figures that continue to show lower U.S. engagement during the measured period. In that setting, the bigger issue is no longer about one specific statistic, but about the overall direction, whether the recent movement reflects temporary changes or points toward a longer-term challenge.
Everything you had to endure growing up in the royal family, everything Meghan had to endure because of the horrible, wicked royal family. And then obviously Harry and Meghan are like, we want to be treated like royals again. We would like to be, allowed back in. We want the king to come to the Invictus Games. We want the royal family to be supporting us again.
Alongside polling numbers and business metrics, another part of the conversation focuses on media coverage and how Meghan Markle's public image is presented across major lifestyle publications. People magazine is one of the outlets mentioned most often, having published a steady stream of Meghan-related stories throughout 2026. Most of the content centers on lifestyle topics, including fashion, home design, personal updates, and carefully presented family moments rather than investigative reporting or policy discussions. Over time, the coverage follows a familiar pattern with similar themes appearing under different headlines.
People have lost interest in them. They've lost respect in them. I mean, the crowds that she drew from, going over to Geneva to be taken seriously, talking about child online safety. And I mean, in the same 12-hour span, posts another picture of her daughter in pajamas, looking like she's shining her shoes, like Orphan Annie and Miss Hannigan. I mean, the woman is literally hitting self-destruct on everything.
Meghan Markle is frequently portrayed as a devoted mother, a supportive partner, a successful entrepreneur, and a resilient public figure adjusting to life after royal duties. Critics argue that the defining feature is not any single article, but the repeated style and consistency of the coverage itself. Based on observations shared in public discussions, People magazine has released well over 100 stories connected to Meghan during 2026, although the subjects range from fashion features to lifestyle updates. Many observers say the overall messaging remains largely the same. That has sparked continuing debate about the influence of lifestyle media on celebrity image, especially when coverage is viewed as leaning strongly toward positive presentation and repeated themes.
Like in the past, People magazine may have been able to say, oh, well, actually, the Brits don't like Meghan, but we have an audience that does like Meghan. Well, not if you look at the new figures that Jack Royston has revealed in Newsweek.
Supporters of this style of reporting argue that it simply reflects what readers want and fits naturally within entertainment journalism. From that perspective, repeated lifestyle stories are seen as audience-driven content rather than evidence of any coordinated effort to shape public opinion. Others, however, point to the lack of critical or investigative variety within that coverage. They argue that when the same positive tone appears over and over, the line between straightforward reporting and image promotion can begin to look less distinct.
Newsweek, formerly an ally of the Sussexes, has revealed that not only are visits to the as ever, or was never, as Lady Colin Campbell calls it, website, down, so too is her overall popularity in America, which means this whole mission has been a disaster.
The conversation has grown stronger alongside the previously noted changes in public sentiment and online engagement. While media coverage does not directly control polling results or website traffic, many agree it becomes part of the larger environment that influences how public figures are viewed. In that sense, lifestyle publications operate within a broader system that connects audience opinion, commercial performance, and recurring media narratives. Separate discussions have also focused on the wider celebrity news landscape, where similar stories are frequently syndicated, rewritten, or republished across multiple outlets.
And the fact that People magazine ignores the actual truth and the evidence that is out there to show that Harry and Meghan are not doing great across any areas, but they continue this manufactured pumping out of these articles. It's like they bought the gold package and they're going to continue to keep pumping it out.
That process can create repeated visibility even when there are few major new developments. Because of that, the debate extends beyond any single headline and instead focuses on long-term patterns in presentation. As these different factors come together, media coverage, public opinion, and business data, the overall picture is built from several streams of information rather than one isolated source. The result is an environment where perception is constantly shaped, challenged, and compared with numbers that continue to evolve. Looking across polling figures, website traffic, and media coverage, 3 different sets of information are now being examined side by side.
Look at this. Meghan Markle hiked in the podiatrist-approved sneakers shoppers say feel comfortable. Now, she wore this once. She wore these sneakers once in Australia. Royally Sage pointed out Rachel is reduced to being an influencer. That is an embarrassing drop from being a working royal.
On one front, YouGov tracking suggests Meghan Markle's approval ratings in the United States shifted noticeably between late 2025 and early 2026, bringing favorable and unfavorable views closer together. On another, as ever website data points to lower U.S. engagement during roughly the same period, with activity peaking in December before gradually declining into the following months. At the same time, lifestyle and entertainment publications have continued giving Meghan Markle significant visibility through stories centered on her brand, personal style, and public image.
People magazine has published an astonishing volume of Meghan Markle articles just in 2026 alone. Not major interviews, not award wins, not blockbuster projects, not cultural moments that actually dominated headlines. Instead, readers get a relentless cycle of product launches, Instagram recaps, outfit breakdowns, sweet family nods, vacation glimpses, and glowing lifestyle features, month after month.
Viewed individually, each collection of data can support different interpretations. Taken together, they create a broader timeline showing changes in attention, shifts in public opinion, and evolving audience engagement. What remains unknown is not the current figures, but how those trends may develop in the future. Whether these patterns represent a temporary dip in interest or the beginning of a longer-term change in audience behavior will require additional time and future data before firm conclusions can be reached. For now, observers note that several indicators appear to be moving along similar paths, and that overlap is what continues to keep the conversation active and attract fresh attention. Got something to say about this? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get into it. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Tap that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it.